It's turning out to be a pretty dismal end of summer.
Yeah.
You know, the Labor Day weekend is supposed to be the crap weekend of the year, where all the junk gets released and nothing any good makes it to theaters, and everybody goes and does barbecues or whatever else. And last year switched that up a little bit because you had Crazy Rich Asians, which had that amazing run of #1 at a number of weekends right at the end of the summer. We got nothing like that this year.
No, nothing remotely like that. Mostly just sort of anticipating right now.
Yeah.
So last week on the show, I was on the show, and we did this sort of like
Film Week.
Film Week,
yeah.
And we did this sort of like wrap up thing. What's so far? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah.
Right. So my looking forward, top of the list, Dolomite.
Yeah.
For a whole bunch of reasons, but Eddie Murphy, but a whole bunch of reasons. So number 2 on that list, Joker.
Yeah.
Which is coming up in middle of October or something like that. Looks interesting. Not a big Todd Phillips fan, personally.
I'm not either, but it got an 8-minute standing ovation in Venice, where, by the way, Mark Kaiser is covering for us. And at some point, it may be appended to this show. It might be standalone, but Mark's we're gonna do a little Skype session and get some reportage from our man in Venice on that. But
he's seeing everything, man.
He is seeing everything.
He is really hustling.
It's 8-minute standing ovation for Joker.
Yeah, so that's I don't know what that means, but there it is. So looking forward to that. And what else as the fall comes along here?
Well, The Irishman,
Yeah.
which everyone has a lot of questions about. 3.5 hours long, allegedly, is the running time. Longest film that Scorsese's ever made, so we'll see if we can handle the de-aging effects over 3.5 hours. That's the big question mark for me. 3.5 hour Scorsese gangster epic. If it's something on the order of Goodfellas meets Godfather, hell yeah, I'm there all day. I'll watch 5 hours of that. But if I'm going to be sitting there for 210 minutes staring at Al Pacino's face.
From 40 years ago,
and thinking that's not that's not what a young Al Pacino looks like. That's not what Al Pacino ever. I've lived my whole life with Al Pacino. I've seen him age, and there was never an Al Pacino at any age that ever looked like that.
Yeah.
If that's gonna bug me the way that it did when I was in the opening sequence to Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where I'm staring at Kurt Russell's face, and saying to myself, Kurt Russell has never looked like that ever.
Yeah,
that's
or
wrong.
Or even the stuff in Aquaman, Nicole Kidman, and no. Look, if I'm thinking about it, then it's not working. And that I don't understand why people don't get that.
Yeah. So
Judy, kind of thinking about Judy.
I'm seeing that this next week. They're just starting to screen that. Yeah, Judy. We'll see. I love Renee Zellweger. She offered me her bagel once. That was sweet and adorable and cute, and I have been a fan even before that and ever since. But and Judy Garland. I mean, I'm sorry, there are only 3. As far as female vocalists, there are only 3 for me, and it's Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand and Dinah Washington, and that's sort of it for me. Those are the 3 that light me up. So Judy. It's going to be tough for me watching somebody play her, and unless she can nail it.
And she's doing all her own singing, Renee.
Is she?
Yeah. Which is it's kind of a big deal. Now, I imagine it's like that singing, but enhanced.
Presumably, it details the last year in the life of Judy Garland, which is when she was doing the Judy Garland show on television. And which Norman Jewison was producing, and she was heavily medicated through much of that. And there's a lot of sad stuff in this story, so we'll see how that goes.
The thing about Judy is that even at the end, the thing that she still had was that voice, and that stage presence, rickety and wobbly in every other way in her life. But when the lights came on, right to the end, Judy could hit it.
Yeah,
and that's the big difference. It did, she wore herself down, but she didn't wear her talent down.
It's true. Yeah. Well, anyway, and then the Malick film is going to be coming out. That's that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. It looks like it should be a good fall season, but we've said that in the past. It's got some duds anyway.
Yeah. It's got. I'm interested to see how, because Netflix has been having trouble because theaters don't want theaters won't take their movies for 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever that stupid thing is they want to do. They're like, no, you're not going to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do about this season.
They have 10 films that they are releasing theatrically for a month. And then they're putting them on a Netflix. So yeah, I if you're a theater, you have to weigh that calculation. You have to think, are more people going to see it because it's out earlier, or are fewer people going to see it because they figure they can wait? That's the question.
Well, I think it hurt them a couple times this year. They had a lovely little movie called I think it was called Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah.
And and it was on Netflix when it was in theaters.
Yeah.
That hurt the box office of that little movie.
Yes, it did.
So and that's tough. Now, hey, it was on Netflix, and who knows how many people saw it there.
Yeah.
And if I understand the model for Netflix, they probably bought the movie out anyway. The producers of the film out anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe the box office wasn't going to make any difference. But in terms of when we look at the box office of independent cinema, because we've been poking at that for a while now, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of stories about how box office is down. The famed Lindley's Theaters here in Los Angeles, whose founder was not Carl, but Carl's brother.
It was Carl's brother. Yeah.
And Carl, of course, one of the founders of Universal Pictures. Yep. And it's a family theater chain, and we know Greg Lindley might be sold.
Yeah.
I mean, this is devastating. This
is
devastating, and a lot of it has to do with freaking Netflix.
It does. I mean, I was at the Landmark the other day, and the Landmark chain, which is the other big art house chain, was owned for many years by Mark Cuban, who bought it along with Magnolia and thought he was going to do a little vertically integrated twofer, right? Yeah. And didn't quite work out. So that has since recently changed hands to Cohen, which I think is doing a better job of handling Landmark than Cuban did. Charles Cohen, of course, we're biased here. We have done, we've been on the Cohen payroll doing commentaries for Cohen films, but it's a well-run operation. They do some great films. They release great things theatrically, and I'm very, very hopeful for what Landmark and Cohen are going to do together. Maybe there's hope.
I hope so, man.
All right, well, I'm going to start off, hit some kid vid here. SpongeBob SquarePants, the best 200 episodes ever. Look, my daughter, I have a 6-year-old. She's now in first grade. First grade is a whole new adventure, I got to tell you. It really is. It's a whole new thing. No homework this year. New teacher who doesn't do homework.
I love her already.
It's but there's a lot of in-class work. So, and we review the in-class work end of the week now, so I feel very inquisitional. It comes in. Now I've got to look at that and go, why didn't you answer this question? How could you get that wrong? How could you get that wrong? You know the answer to that. Are you kidding me? You didn't fill that in. You know the answer to that. So I've got to be that person now.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, my daughter's never seen SpongeBob SquarePants and probably never will. But anyway, the best 200 episodes ever? I guess. I don't know. I can't really tell one from the other. But this is what the Nickelodeon people have selected as the 200 best episodes, and they've included in a big old heavy box set in 2 giant keep cases with a collectible poster. And I mean, what can I tell you? I guess they're the 200 best. It ran for 9 seasons, so there's a lot to choose from. And I suppose, if you're a fan, maybe you'll be able to tell, but go Paramount, I think. Still from Nickelodeon, Blaze and the Monster Machines, Ninja Blaze. So when I was a kid, nobody knew what ninjas were.
Yeah.
I was the kid who watched, we have a channel here in Los Angeles. It's Channel 22. It's the international channel, KWHY. And it's where you watch Korean soap operas and Vietnamese talk shows. And it's mostly Asian stuff. But it not exclusively. There's a lot of kind of public television stuff on it. Anyway, when I was a kid, I watched Channel 22 a lot because it was the only place that I could see, number one, anime, like, really cool 70s era anime. And number 2, Japanese samurai daytime soap opera.
Yep.
Like Shiroto no Maijinkai, which I watched a lot. And it had no subtitles. And I didn't care because all I knew was that badass dude with the sword is going to be chopping somebody up in about 10 seconds flat. And yeah, it was shot on video and it looked crappy, but it was samurai and I got to watch it every afternoon. So, and I knew what ninjas were, and then nobody else knew what ninjas were, and here I was. I used tin cutters, and I was cutting my own shurikens in the garage, and I was like throwing them in the wall and reaping hell for it. And finally, Shogun gets made as a miniseries, and now everybody knows what ninjas are. And today, ninjas are every damn place. There's American Ninja on the TV show. There are all those stupid movies from the '80s. There's a ninja force. Everything now. And now we've even got Blaze and the Monster Machine says Ninja Blaze. That's how long I had to walk around that. So ninja cars, I guess. Okay. Go for it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But, there it is. Still from the Nickelodeon end of things, we have more up to speed for the girls. Is Sunny Day and Shimmer and Shine.
Shimmer and Shine.
I love Shimmer and Shine.
Yeah.
They're little genies, all done in the Bubble Guppies style. Shimmer and Shine, Legend of the Dragon Treasure. They're just really sweet little genie girls, and they're adorable. And the dragons are kind of like My Little Pony dragons. There's nothing intimidating about them, and they're all cute and candy-colored, and there are 6 episodes here. Zarakorn's on Parade is adorable, and Nazbu's family reunion. It's just cute beyond all belief, and I totally endorse this because I have a daughter, and little genies are cool. Sunny Day, I'm a little less into this. This is kind of more tweeny-oriented. Welcome to the Pet Parlor. Sunny and her friends are a little bit too not Barbie. What's the other one? Not Barbie, but there's see, you don't have daughters. No. There's the other Bratz.
Oh, Bratz. Again.
It's very Z. That's it. It's very Bratzy. And you're just, styling dog hair in this thing, and it's all very weird. Pet Parlor, Parlor Problems, Sunny and the Groom and Vroom and the Royal Wedding. I'm going to hold off on I have a few reservations about that one. Stepping away from the Nickelodeon stuff, we go to the Jungle Bunch, which is cute-ish. This is from Shout Factory and Shout Studios. It borrows very, very heavily from a lot of other stuff. Sing, it reminded me a little bit of. Most things were little Zootopias in here as well. But it's kind of a fish out of water, ugly duckling thing here about Morris, who is a penguin and kind of a kung fu master or an aspiring kung fu master. Anyway, look, you're into this for the voice characterizations and for some fun animation. And there's an evil koala in here who's the villain, and it's a little bit tedious, but for young kids, I'm sure they got a kick out of it. From the DC end of things, Teen Titans Go, Looking for a Fight. More Teen Titans stuff. I find it not quite. It's a little exaggerated, the animation. It's a little too cartoony for me, but it has a following, and there's some stuff in here, Aqualad and Beast Boy and Cyborg. It's it's got its attributes. The one that I think is actually surprisingly good is from the Lego DC universe, Batman Family Matters. Now, I'm not really a fan of the Lego things, but at a certain point, if they don't overstay their welcome, I can deal with it. So Batman Family Matters, it's not like the Lego Batman film. It doesn't really hang for much too long. It's about 80 minutes long. That's as much of this as anybody really has any business of doing. And it's just kind of a standard Batman thing where the Bat family goes up against all of the Batman villains and whatnot. It's fine. It fulfills it scratches all the DC and all the Lego itches, and it does it very, very quickly. And that's it is what it is. And then real quickly on the concert end of things, want to make a mention of Santana live at the US Festival. This is on Blu-ray. And I grew up with Carlos Santana. I am still a huge fan, and his kind of legendary US Festival performance is very, very memorable. I remember when it happened, and this is a beautiful Blu-ray. They've done a really good job of kind of restoring the archival footage in a way that it doesn't look like somebody just set the machine to run and off all of this old videotape goes on a Blu-ray with scars and all and looks all horrific. No, this actually looks really polished. They did a really nice job. And some great tracks here. Everything from Black Magic Woman to Savor to Shango, Incident at Neshbur. It's good. It's good. It's you have to kind of be a Carlos Santana fan, but he's just one of those guitarists from an era of great guitarists, and he stands apart. I like him.
That's
good
the
man.
That's the man.
Yep.
Shall I do a few new movies?
New movies, yeah.
It's funny. I ended up talking about this movie, Booksmart, again on Film Week that just went by. This was a perfectly lovely little movie about these two young women about to graduate from high school. Absolutely brilliant academic achievers, and they were looking back over their high school careers and realized they didn't have any fun. They didn't do any of the sort of ordinary cutting loose little stuff. So they tried to jam it all into one night. Very ordinary story, but this is a slick, smart little movie directed by Olivia Wilde, the actress Olivia Wilde.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, look her up. She directed a whole bunch of really, really good music videos. Red Hot Chili Peppers thing, just neat stuff. And it's just well done, certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but it just did not get the traction that it ought to have gotten and did not make the money at the bottom. Now, I'm sure it'll do fine when it's streaming, but folks out there, I'm telling you, you better start going and seeing these movies. You better start going to see these movies in theaters, or they're going to go away.
Yeah.
Little movies like this that just should have done better. Anyway, enjoyed this greatly. This is the Blu-ray, all kinds of neat special features on it. So, check that out. Commentary by director Olivia Wilde. Now, on the other hand, MIB International. First of all, did we really need another Men in Black movie?
No.
What was up with that? I didn't at all. First of all, I don't even think that either Hemsworth or Tessa Thompson, who played the Men in Black in this, they were probably children.
Yes.
When that first Men in Black movie came out of, and probably couldn't even got in to see it.
Now, here's the thing. There are a couple of different ways to read the failure of this film. They went out and they cast two actors specifically because they were bringing Marvel cred with them. This is Thor and Valkyrie.
Yep.
Okay? Both of them figure quite prominently and well, not just in the last Thor film, but in Avengers Endgame, the biggest film in the history of humankind. Certainly the biggest film in the last 20 years on all metrics. So they're thinking they're going to bring audience with them. Now, they didn't. So there are two ways to read that, either or. One is movie stars are dead, and nobody cares what big movie you were in last week. Just because you're in a new movie this week doesn't mean I'm going to go see it. That's number one. Or number two, well, three things. Or Men in Black just doesn't have cachet anymore. With anybody. You could stick Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones in another one, and it could be the best written thing in the world. Nobody would go because they've been there, done that. Or three, this film just stank on every conceivable level. So it's some combination of those three things, and I'm inclined to think it's all three.
Yeah, a little bit of all three, that's for sure. Because word of mouth was not that great. This is full of all kinds of special features, so you'll just dig in if you must be a Men in Black completist. You'll get everything you wanted to know about it here. I don't think you'll be getting any more of them though.
No.
Ma, this film with Octavia Spencer, directed by Tate Taylor, which I saw and rather enjoyed personally. Again, didn't perform up to what was expected for this sort of, horror adventure. I liked it for this reason. The way they lay this little movie out, we meet Ma, this older woman who gets involved with these teenagers, buys them some booze, and then tells them, "Hey, I got a place where you can hang out. Come over to my house, hang out in the basement." And she sort of draws them into this whole thing. The whole time we're watching this, we're seeing these flashbacks to Ma when Ma was a teenager.
Yep.
And we see what happens to her in juxtaposition to most of these young people's parents.
Yep.
Really. And there comes a moment when Ma just goes batshit and starts doing all kinds of wacky stuff. Now, when you watch what happened to Ma when she was a teenager, you kind of feel like, you know what? You guys kind of had that coming. You kind of had that coming.
Yep.
And a little interesting empathy there. So I don't know, but overall, it was just a pretty good movie, not a fantastic movie. Bonus features include an alternate ending, which is very interesting if you know how it ended before. Some deleted scenes and stuff like that. Not bad. This Tolkien biopic.
Yeah,
man, I got to tell you, it just did not work for me. It's only about a particular period in his life.
Yeah,
he was a young man at school.
Yeah,
the group of classmates that he ran around with. Yeah, and then a little bit of what happened to him in the First World War.
Yeah,
didn't work for me.
I am so forgiving of this movie because I do I like Nicholas Hoult as an actor.
Yeah.
I think the biographical sketches of Tolkien's life are interesting, but it is. And his family was not happy with the film either.
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit of backlash there. Understandable. There usually isn't a lot of fondness for biopics from the families, but for some reason it feels kind of stillborn.
Yeah.
It feels like they just wanted to play it so safe, and it's almost as though they felt like the most interesting thing about J.R. Tolkien or Tolkien is the fact that he wasn't always that guy, right? Like, hey, let's just the story will tell itself. If we just let you know, like, hey, he was once young. Isn't that amazing?
Well, he had friends in school.
He didn't always have a beard. He wasn't always old. He had friends once. Like, yeah, look, he was a young guy once, and it'll write itself. We don't need to. And no, it still has to be interesting. And I think they missed the boat. It's too bad.
Oh well. Anyway, some special features include an audio commentary from the director Dom Karukowski. I believe is the way you say his name, some deleted scenes and whatnot. The Secret Life of Pets 2. Oddly, this movie did pretty well. But it got on my nerves so bad.
I didn't see this one, and I saw the first one with my daughter, and she hated it.
Yeah, these movies always just bugged me. But you know how I feel about anthropomorphication. I have an issue with that. That's no good. Anyway, all kinds of special features on this, including 2 other little mini movies in the whole universe of the Secret Life of Pets. Yeah. The Sun is also a star. This was a lovely little movie.
And they didn't send this to us on Blu-ray, which I'm a little miffed about, but I'm inquiring.
What's that all about?
I don't know. I think because it didn't do ridiculous business, they're under the impression that it's a streaming thing and that they don't really care about the Blu-ray market, which, you know, I think is there's a calculation that's going on at a lot of the studios now about the future of Blu-ray and 4K in particular, and they're beginning to get a little gun shy and niche back on it, and really.
Is the calculation about physical objects, or whether they're going to?
I think the calculation is that increasingly people don't want to buy discs, which isn't good for this podcast, but that they figure that it's becoming increasingly a collectible thing, so they're focusing on things that are classics, truly collectible. If it's just a new movie and it didn't really do great or it did okay, they figure we're going to put the money into streaming, and who cares about the Blu-ray?
Yeah, okay, interesting. I was wondering if that was happening.
But that is a really good film.
Yeah, Yara Shahidi, Charles Melton, this perfectly lovely film. A little love story.
It's a love story, but it's a love story. I mean, it's worth pointing out that this takes place in contemporary New York. Mm-hmm. It's a love story between a guy who is the son of Asian immigrants and a girl who is herself a Jamaican immigrant. Mm-hmm. And it takes place over about 24 hours. And it takes place in modern-day New York, in the middle of New York, dealing with these two people and their fated kind of... It's a little bit like the Beyond films, right? Beyond Sunrise, and it has that feel to it. And yet, there is not a single Caucasian-speaking part in this movie. Not one.
Without reference, not one, but not one.
And you would not know that unless I told you that.
It's about how this young woman... who's trying to avoid love, proclaims not to believe in love, and he is a deeply romantic lover.
That's it.
And in that 24 hours, he's gonna
win her heart.
That love is a thing that can happen. That's what it's about, and it's lovely.
And it's lovely, and it is a perfect portrait of a modern American urban scenario, the modern urban world, and that's why the ethnic mixture of it and a lot of those dynamics are so interesting. I think it's a wonderful metaphor and an allegory, and again, I think it's amazing that you get to the end of this movie, and if you think for a minute, you go, it's funny, I didn't see a single white person in the whole movie.
White people are in the movie.
But it didn't bother me. It didn't really distract. It was just part of the world.
And again, this is the kind of movie you got to go see these movies, folks. You got to go see them in the little art house theaters. You got to go.
Please do. Please do.
You gonna move on to something before?
Let's do the LGBT stuff, and then I'll hit the 4K.
Okie dokie. Everything is free. It's the name of this little film, lovely film. It's about this little American painter. He's living down in Colombia. His friend comes to visit him along with his brother. They go on some adventures. It's this perfectly lovely, sweet, and kind of sexy little movie. full of all kinds of boys and girls getting naked and running around Columbia, which is really just about all that goes on in this film. But it is lovely and very nice. Features the director's personal introduction to the film as well as a audio commentary. Let's see. He always says yes. Another lovely little movie set in Mexico. This guy goes down to Mexico City. He's hoping to be chosen to pose for this photographic collective of all these nude sort of photos. He meets this guy. Inhibitions sort of slip away, and they end up on again some fairly nice adventures. It's just a lovely little film, but it contains a lot of real sex, and that's just all the hell there is to it. Now why this is not porn, I'm not really sure, but technically speaking, it's not. But it seemed kind of porny to me. And this is actually a series called Woke from Deku. Lovely little series, season 2. Kind of picking up where it left off before. And again, this is just a nice little dramatic thriller. It's like a romance, like a daytime soap opera. Not particularly, aggressive or anything like that. It's just a lovely little series. It's called Woke. If you're into it, you'll love it. It's in French with English subtitles.
All right, 4K. We got 4 very interesting 4K releases this week. 2 old, 2 new. I'll hit the new ones first. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Does it look great on 4K? It looks amazing on 4K. The CG work here is phenomenal. It splits the difference perfectly between the CG Godzilla that has now had 2 different approaches to it, and the original Godzilla, which was a guy in a big latex suit. This is kind of the perfect Godzilla. I got to be honest. It sort of nails it, and the movie just is whatever. And that's unfortunate. There are a lot of really talented people in this movie that I'm enormously happy to see in a big movie. Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, and it's just Bradley Whitford is in this. Zhang Ziyi is in this. Vera Farmiga's here. I mean, it's you're like, wow, this is amazing. They got some of my favorite people, and Sally Hawkins shows up. Charles Dance. It's amazing. Like, I'm watching, wow, you nailed it, and I don't care. Why don't I care, Tim? Why don't I care?
Yeah.
I don't. What is? Yeah. Is it just too much? Is it that we're over Godzilla? What is it?
Well, I know I'm over Godzilla.
That's what I think.
I've been over Godzilla since 1998.
I mean, the thing that I guess because I would be the first person to love something like this because they bring back all the Godzilla monsters that I grew up on, Mothra and Ghidorah. And Rodan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be my dream come true. Here we are, we're doing it. And for some reason, I kind of feel like, I'd rather go watch one of the cheesy old Japanese movies.
Yeah, every time, even when they were really cheesy.
It just anyway, the 4K is fantastic. I mean, the audio especially, this thing just rips it up in terms of the audio. Especially if you've got the full 9.2 surround system, it'll just fill your house with screaming monsters on a level that you can't even comprehend. The neighbors will call the police. It'll be unbelievable. But it just left me kind of cold. On the other hand, Keanu Reeves in John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. If you haven't seen any of the John Wick movies, go and see 1 and 2 first. You do have to catch up because it's not like they are sequels. When they say Chapter 3, this is John Wick 1 takes place over a very compressed period of time. It's like a 24-hour period, maybe 48 hours. I can't remember. And the second that John Wick 1 ends, that's where John Wick 2 picks up.
Mm-hmm. It's like Halloween and Halloween 2.
It is literally that exact moment, and you're still hitting the ground running. You're still moving. And the second that John Wick 2 ends, that is where John Wick 3 picks up.
Mm-hmm.
So these 3 movies are you kind of need to watch them back to back to back because it is a continuous chase.
Yeah,
all 3 films. It just doesn't end.
Yeah,
and the whole deal with the John Wick films is they take place in a world where, and it gets more and more ridiculous with each successive film because they figure we have to keep making the mythology deeper and richer. is that there is a basically worldwide brotherhood of assassins, of paid assassins. And John Wick is a guy who used to be one, and then in John Wick 1, because of a whole situation with a car and a dog, and some guys who overstepped what they should have known to do, he winds up going all rogue and kind of loose cannon on him. He's Batman who hasn't shaved in a while and doesn't put on a suit. So and he goes completely medieval on anyone who's ever wronged him. And there's a hotel where all these this is your neutral territory where and everybody understands that this hotel, which is run and operated by what's his name?
The guy, the old guy from
Ian McShane.
Yeah.
So Ian McShane runs and operates this hotel, which is completely neutral ground. All the assassins understand you're not supposed to kill each other here, even though in every single one of these movies somebody does, and that's supposed to be neutral territory. Okay, and there are all of these weird rules. So, long story short, John Wick 3 picks up. He just every time he kills somebody in revenge, he wrongs somebody else, and somebody else is out and after him, and he's broken a rule. And now, literally, like the entire world is after John Wick. There's all kinds of stuff in John Wick 3 that makes absolutely no sense. Why he winds up meeting up with Halle Berry in Morocco and running into the desert and meeting a Bedouin who apparently is the all-time godfather of the whole International Society of Assassins. Why he would live in a tent in the desert. None of that makes any sense. Halle Berry being in here doesn't make any sense. And then it comes back and it turns out that I don't know that anybody in New York is not an assassin in these movies, because whenever there's like a little thing and everybody answers their phones, you're like, everyone on the street is an assassin. The whole city is. Does anybody actually have a regular job? It's crazy. And
they break the rules. I guess there's the rules. You're not supposed to do anything in that hotel, as you said. And then they start breaking the rules.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
So,
but I love that series.
But here's the thing. It's still a lot of fun because it is relentless action. He is just shooting people indiscriminately, left and right, nonstop, all the time. And there's a knife scene in this thing, which is hysterical. I mean, he's in a knife shop. These guys are chasing him down. And it's nuts. They're just throwing knives at each other left and right. And there's a lot of CG in it, but you don't notice it. It's just an awful lot of fun.
The guys who founded that series, the original, the stunt guys.
Chad Stahelski, the director.
That's what they were, right?
Yeah.
They're stunt guys. So that's what they did.
That's it. He's the original director, Chad Stahelski. He's a stunt guy. And the thing that I most enjoy about this is the fact that the guy who plays the concierge at the hotel, who's always been just, I will take care of your dogs, sir. Yes.
Oh, the
sir,
brother
yes,
with the bald head. Yeah.
He's always just this really cool, calm guy who's sort of at the net. He gets to pick up guns here. He goes nuts, and I like it. I give him a chance to finally shoot some people. Other 4K, and that look. Does it look great? Yes, it looks amazing in 4K. The color is fantastic. HDR just really intense. Now we get a couple of other things on 4K. Stallone and Rambo, the fight continues. This is the Rambo movie that everybody thinks, what's that? Is that? No. There's a new Rambo movie coming out soon, which is apparently more First Blood than any of them have been since First Blood. Stallone is still at it. It's the only other character he's got. Cobra never took off, so he's doing Rocky now over in the Creed films. So now we're going back to Rambo. We're going to wrap that up a little bit. And this is the fourth Rambo movie, and everybody kind of forgets that there was one. This is from 2008. Stallone directed it, co-wrote it, and in the First Blood, he's just a messed up vet. In First Blood 2, Rambo, he's like, he's going back to Vietnam, and he's turned into a crazy action hero, and it makes no sense. In the third one, he's in Afghanistan.
Yeah, that was just flat out bananas.
That's ridiculous. In this one, he's in Burma, and he's helping out Christian missionaries, and it's fine. It's a little bit more of an honest film on some levels than I think the previous two were. He did Rambo. He did the second and the third films around the same time he was doing Rocky 3 and 4, and everything was extreme back then. So I mean, it's a little bit treading water, but why is it on 4K? I don't know.
Have those films always maintain a sort of contemporary to their period?
Yeah.
So everything. So which means this new Rambo that's coming up should be this guy 40, about 40 years after.
Yeah,
that's where we're gonna go.
That's where it is. He's old. He's on a farm. He wants to be left alone, and they just come right back at him. That's what it is. So last 4K is the one we want to spend a moment on. It is Apocalypse Now. Yeah. And as you probably know, it's the 40th anniversary edition on Ultra HD 4K Blu-ray from Lionsgate. And this includes the Apocalypse Now final cut, which Francis Coppola recently did to kind of mediate between his original release cut, which is nearly 2.5 hours long, and the Apocalypse Now Redux, which is 3 hours and 15 minutes long. This is 15 minutes shorter, so it's about a little over a half hour longer than the original cut, 15 minutes shorter than Redux, and it's like a more polished Redux, basically. Redux was flabby and ill-conceived and had music problems, and it has that whole horrible interlude with the French colonials that makes no sense, that was rightfully cut out of the original film. And that's back in here. I don't know why Coppola can't leave this film alone. It's fine that there are 2 additional cuts on here. However, really, the original is all you need. Yeah. And Hearts of Darkness, the really, really terrific documentary. That's the great one. It's a wonderful look. And the thing is, Hearts of Darkness as a documentary tells you everything about, I guess, why he can't leave it alone. Because this movie just got inside his psyche in a really, really devastating way. In terms of the 4K, there is a digital code on here that gets you either iTunes or Vudu. Both of them give you 4K streaming access. The 4K on the discs is superb, absolutely superb. You see the film grain, the way that it was originally shot. Storaro's photography has never been better served. It is really, really pristine. The audio, which has always really been great, the Walter Murch sound design is kills it with lossless HD. It is absolutely beautiful. The 4K stream on Vudu, very impressive. Really very impressive. One of the better 4K streams I've seen. So I would say, you don't really need the other 2 cuts. You just need Hearts of Darkness and the original, but it's all here. It's comprehensive. And if you have anything else, go ahead, double dip, get rid of those other ones. This is all you need. 4K Apocalypse Now. Go get it.
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
TV?
A little bit of TV, yeah. Season 4 of this really wonderful French series, 10 episodes on 3 discs of The Bureau. Wicked French spy series that involves the French spy service. By the way, the French have a spy service. if you didn't know that. Because I hadn't thought about it. The DGSE is what their spy service is called. It also involves the CIA and the Russian spy service. You have this guy who's on the run, Matthew Almaric, who I love. Takes over the French spy service, and he's looking for this guy. This guy is in Russia. He's trying to do a deal with the Russians coming there. It's very Jean Le Carré. Yeah, very Le Carré, and it just looks gorgeous. And it sort of roams around. It doesn't do what a lot of the like the Israeli shows do. The whole Palestinian conflict. It's all very real world, and these things. This doesn't do that so much. It goes a little bit sideways and has a little bit more fun. With all the technology, and it doesn't always maintain itself right in the real world 100% whole and complete. Let's see, anything on here? Optional subtitles in French and English and all that kind of stuff, but no other special features per se on that. Poldark, the complete collection. Well, this has just been around forever, this series, and I've always loved it. It's beautiful. It's romantic. It's just a lovely, lovely series adaptation. From the book series, set during the Revolutionary War. It's just a little bit of history and a whole lot of drama, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is the complete collection with all kinds of bonus materials, including a historical sort of background that sets up the context in which all of these people in this time exist. It's just really great stuff, and there are people who are completists about this, and you definitely want to check that out. Let's see. The 16th season of NCIS, Naval Criminal Investigation Service, the original NCIS.
Oh, the original.
Yeah. 16
I've
seasons.
lost track.
Yeah,
16
man.
seasons that played?
16 seasons.
Really?
This thing, man, it's fantastic.
Wow.
That blows my mind, really. This is the one with Mark Harmon, by the way, folks. That's the one that this is. Anyway, this is full of all kinds of special features. I didn't watch all 16 seasons of this, I'll be honest. I was an early adopter, and then I bumped around to some of the other CISs. They're all sort of a sort of show. But this is good stuff if you're into this kind of thing. I think our buddy Sherman was in a couple episodes of this, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he was in the other one.
We'll ask him.
Yeah, we'll have to. That's right. Got to talk to him
because we are going to talk to him.
Yep. Bull, Michael Weatherly's series, season 3. You look when this kicked off. If you'd have told me this would even go 3 seasons, I lost my shirt. I'm sorry. I never got into it. But apparently, it's that CBS-y kind of.
Yeah, I know. It's stuff that people do when they're doing other things. They just turn CBS on and let it roll.
You get some of the special features. A few interesting things there. Let's see. We have got the Mayans. MC.
Oh, spin-off of the
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy, yeah.
Which is kind of a cool series. This is the complete first season. Watch 2 or 3 of these. Gotta love Edward James Olmos because he's Edward James Olmos. And he's in the show doing that thing that he does. It's a good series. It's interesting. I'm not terribly into biker culture and all that. That's not my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because look, they're all criminals. They're just there are no good guys in these series.
No.
Same thing with Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
There's nobody to root for. All of you people are terrible.
It's the same thing with Ozark.
Oh yeah,
exactly. I mean, you're kind of rooting for them to get out of their predicament, but you don't like them.
Yeah.
You don't want them to. You don't want to hang out with them
because you people actually did all this crap.
Yeah.
And you kind of got this coming. I loved Hart to Hart.
I did too.
Hart to Hart, Movies Are Murder Collection. 8 made-for-TV movies.
Yeah.
From the Hart to Hart series.
Yeah.
Hart to Hart started in 1979.
Yeah.
When it first Stephanie Powers and Robert, what's his name?
Wagner.
Stephanie Powers and Robert Wagner, Lionel Stander,
Yeah.
who by the way was fingered by the House Un-American Activities Committee.
Was he really?
Yeah,
I don't think I knew that.
He was blacklisted he was one of those guys. Yeah, and this was his big comeback. But doing the 50s, he had been working for years. But he was he was kind of commie, a little bit of a commie, but not much. But yeah, got fingered by them. Anyway, these would be the TV movies that were spun out from the series. 8 made-for-television movies. They were all fantastic and a lot of fun. Stephanie Powers had a crush on her like you would not believe for years and years and years, and probably still do. She's still with us, Stephanie? I know Robert is. Is Stephanie still with us? Do you remember?
Yes, she is, and in fact, she is in a relatively new movie.
Really?
Coming out shortly. Yes. So, which we'll talk more about as we get closer to the movie itself. Yeah.
This little 2011 series, Pan Am, with Christina Ricci about what we called at the time stewardesses.
Yeah.
On Pan. First of all, I remember. I'm old enough to remember Pan Am Airlines.
Yeah, I'm too.
And to have flown it.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who don't even remember that this ever existed, and it was quite a thing.
Let me tell you something about Pan Am, because Pan Am, of course, is in 2001, right? That's it's the shuttle that he's taking to the space station.
Space station, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a Pan Am flight in Hook, Steven Spielberg's Hook. That's what Robin Williams and his family are flying on at the beginning of the film.
Yeah,
and I remember very, very well the press screening of Hook at the Avco in Westwood, and I remember sitting there. Probably around 7:45 in the evening, watching Hook with this audience, and up comes that stock shot of a Pan Am plane, just lasts for about 4 seconds, and gets the most outrageous laughter from the audience because that morning Pan Am went under.
That was the morning that Pan Am.
That was the morning that Pan Am went under.
Wow.
Yep.
2001.
It was.
What year was that? 95, right?
Something like that, 95, 96, somewhere in there, whatever Hook was,
Anyway, this was just a really neat little series. I wish it would have hung around. Margot Robbie, making one of her first appearances on American television in this series. And it was kind of like
91.
Really?
Yeah, 91 was Hook. I know.
Jeez, Willikers.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, this was meant to be sort of like a madman, only on airplanes in the air, but it didn't quite take off. But it was a really good series, I think. The complete 5th season of The Flash. Barry Allen and his daughter on the cover of this. I love this season.
I did too. I did too. Look, not the best season for villains.
No. But the family stuff was
But
fantastic.
the family stuff is great. And ultimately, really, I'm glad they turned the corner because they've been kind of, they went through a number of seasons where we got to get more and more evil speedster every single, year. And then, okay, now we've run out of evil speedsters. Now we're going to go with the brain guy.
Who could jump bodies.
The thinker, or whatever it was. Yeah, who, it's like, oh, you can't outsmart him because he just keeps getting smarter and smarter. So that was a pretty good season. That was a kind of a tricky, twisty plot thing. And then they figured, you know what? Let's just kind of we're gonna obviously there has to be a threat, but let's focus a little bit on Barry and Iris.
Yeah, and then
let's just go deeper on that. And I'm glad they do because that's what makes the show work for me.
Yeah, and the speedster they bring in is Nora, their daughter, and she that's just a wonderful actress.
It's a wonderful little bit
and a fantastic storyline there. Anyway, this features all of the crossover episodes. There are 3 crossover episodes here with Supergirl and the one with the arrow.
An Arrow and the
other one, Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, that's it. Yeah,
all of which are not nearly as good as Flash. Nevertheless, the complete, except for Supergirl, 5th season.
Yeah,
and then our homie Sherman Augustus, in his series Into the Badlands, the complete 3rd season. In which he is featured quite a lot. This is look, Into the Badlands was a really so far as kung fu martial arts are concerned, this was the best show. By far. Better than Iron Fist.
Oh, Iron Fist is terrible. Iron Fist is a terrible show. But here's the thing, and we're gonna be interviewing Sherman and talking to him about this. And we'll let him kind of go elaborate on it. But when you watch all the other shows on television that have tried to incorporate some kind of classical Hong Kong style martial arts into the show, they all do it wrong. And that includes stuff like Martial Law, which was one of the first, which was produced by Stanley Tong, which starred Sammo Hung, and Sammo and Stanley did all the choreography in it. And the fighting is good, but it's not shot well because they didn't have the budget or the schedule to do it.
It's like a late '90s ABC television series.
Yeah, there's a way of approaching it in terms of not just the choreography, but the production of it, the way that you have to shoot it, the way you have to schedule it, the time you have to give it, that isn't done right. You can tell that if you've seen Wu Assassins on Netflix, which has some pretty decent action in it.
Yeah, Louis Tan in that, who was also in this series.
Yeah, but it's not shot well.
No.
It's not, everything about the production value of that show goes into the CG. It doesn't go into the actual staging of the fighting. They're not, and the thing about Badlands is they said, we're going to approach this the same way that we would if we had a feature budget.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give it the time. We're going to give it the attention. We're going to hire the talent. We're really going to, and the result is you watch it and you just think, this is amazing, this is wonderful, and it transports you in a way that I wish the other shows did.
Yeah, and plus it had a really sort of great dramatic storyline here. Daniel Wu, star of the show, great stuff, fantastic, and we'll be talking to Sherman about it later in an interview.
So Martin Clunes, who of course is a legendary British television figure, we love him on Doc Martin, love him on Manhunt. He also does what a lot of British actors do, which is that he likes to host travel shows and whatnot. They all seem to really kind of enjoy that. And this is what he does. He has a show here called Islands of America, which is part of the Athena line of Acorn and Acorn TV. And he just goes around the most fascinating coastal areas of America, and not just North America, but he starts in Hawaii, and then goes to Alaska, and goes to New England, and at a certain point he even winds up in Puerto Rico, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's wonderful, just visiting all the diverse coasts of America. It's very, very cool. It's and he's a wonderful host. You just can't get enough of this. I hope
Michael Palin did that for around the world.
Yeah, around the world. Yeah. I mean, and I love it when they do it because they're also erudite.
Yeah.
Anastasia, The Mystery of Anna is from 1986 television movie. Pretty amazing television movie.
I remember that.
It really is. So here's the story. Everybody knows about Anastasia, the daughter of the Tsar, the youngest daughter of the Tsar, who presumably survived execution at the beginning of the Russian Revolution. And there are all these, there was a woman, Anna Anderson, who claimed for her entire life that she was Anastasia. You had obviously Ingrid Bergman movie back in I think it was 41, 42, whenever that was. Anyway, you wind up with the animated 20th Century Fox film, which is now a Disney property, and they've recently redone the musical for a larger Broadway production. It's a wonderful story of a modern-day princess that almost certainly was not true, because they eventually exhumed the remains and did some DNA testing and said, okay, this is Anastasia. She really did die. Fair enough. Nonetheless, Anna Anderson is a fascinating figure because she claimed right up until the day that she died that she really was Anastasia. So Anna Anderson died in 84, and they made this movie in 86, so they didn't need to get her permission. And that's really smart. It's a pretty standard TV movie from the 80s, starring Amy Irving as Anna Anderson, except for the fact that the supporting cast here is amazing. And I'm not talking about Susan Lucci, who for some reason is in this. I'm talking about Olivia de Havilland, Rex Harrison, Omar Sharif, and a young Christian Bale.
Yeah.
That is an amazing cast for a TV movie. That's the last time you saw all of those people together in anything.
Yeah.
And that was 1986. Very, very impressive. So that's out on DVD. It is really quite an interesting story. It's, again, done in 80s TV movie style, but to see all that talent in this one story is pretty great. So Anastasia, The Mystery of Anna from Mill Creek. Pretty great.
What are you going to move on to? You got some more?
Let's see. I got a few docs.
Okay.
Let me hit some docs because there's one doc here we should spend a little bit of time on. Let's see. The Other Side of Everything, a political ghost story. This was made the festival rounds for quite a while, and it's actually a really, really interesting kind of modern day real life mystery thriller. This is made by Mila Turalicic. I hope I'm getting that right. A Serbian filmmaker. This is from Icarus, and this is in Serbian, English subtitled. And it centers primarily around a mystery that stems from this Belgrade apartment, Belgrade in Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, Serbia now, where a divided how do we say this? There was a the apartment kind of is a metaphor in some respects for the history of Yugoslavia and Serbia. And it's a divided apartment, and what she does is she undertakes this investigation into effectively the contents behind a locked door, which are sort of the prism through which she looks at the history of the country and the history of this particular apartment and region. And I don't want to give too much away. It's very, very hard to sort of talk about this without saying anything about the family in particular. But it's a really, really interesting way of approaching history through personal artifacts. That's probably the best way of putting it. Very, very interesting film. Ghosts of Attica is a Brad Lichtenstein movie narrated by Susan Sarandon that is kind of it touches on some of the same things, except this is a bit more of an American story. This is looking at a really, really brutal history that is probably not that well known to a lot of people. So I think we probably know the name mostly through the mouth of Al Pacino. Attica. So Attica is the story of the massive prison assault, prison rebellion, and then the subsequent assault that saw many, many prisoners killed. And it's one of those moments of the 70s that just lingers for people that remember it. And this revisits that with as much information as they have now and with a lot of perspective. And it is still, to this day, I think, the most violent prison riot in American history.
Yeah.
I think it and the most deadly. So really, but there's a whole lot of other stuff going around at this time politically. You know, it's 1971. You're talking about the same. It's sort of extending the violence of the late 60s, the assassinations, the Watts riots, and everything else that's going on. Vietnam, and Watergate. So, Ghosts of Attica, quite a powerful documentary as well, also from Icarus Films Home Video. And then this is what I want to spend just a second on. It's called Tasteless: Before the Outrage. There were jokes. That's the tagline, and a big red banner on the cover of this. It's a black background, says Tasteless: Before the Outrage. They were jokes, like this thing is banned. And this is going to this is taking a look at how comedy culture has been transformed since the 1980s. And how back in the 80s, you know, there was these series of books, Truly Tasteless Jokes, that everybody thought were absolutely wonderful and great. And this looks at how comedy has changed, and how things that were once considered funny and amusingly tasteless now have a completely different cultural cachet. And you know, it's only about 60 minutes long, but it warrants a much more substantial conversation. This is from Virgil Films. It's a decent documentary. It doesn't really push all the buttons that it needs to, but it does open all the conversations. And the reason this is part of the conversation for me is because this subject is very much in the news right now, primarily centering around Dave Chappelle's new show, Sticks and Stones, which is dropped on Netflix.
Comedy stand-up special.
And
which I did see the other day, fantastically funny.
Look, and I've been defending Dave Chappelle relentlessly for the past several days. And it's people are like, he's punching down, he's obsessed with LGBT people, he's making fun of gay people, he's a bigot and all this stuff. And my point is, look, you don't understand. There's a great Salon piece. About this. The writer in Salon grew up in I think in urban Pittsburgh in the 1970s, and talks very extensively about the history of black comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a student of the history of comedy. I love the history of comedy. I grew up around all this stuff, and I kind of absorbed it intuitively. And there are two great comedy traditions in America. There's the Jewish comedy tradition and the black comedy tradition. And they changed comedy for the whole world, both of those. Mm-hmm. And what do those two things have in common? What they have in common is they are the two most singularly oppressed groups in the history of the United States. Mm-hmm. And perhaps even the world. And comedy was not just an entertainment medium for these two populations. Comedy is how these groups mainstreamed themselves without compromise. Mm-hmm. And that is what I've always found fascinating. When Woody Allen goes up on stage, he is not trying to be a Gentile. He says, I'm Jewish as hell, mm-hmm. and I am going to flaunt my Jewishness in front of you until you laugh and embrace me. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that you got out of black comics, out of certainly even before Richard Pryor. This is going on, and not even Bill Cosby. Let's talk about Dick Gregory. Yeah, Dick Gregory began this whole thing. And Godfrey Cambridge, who is one of my great comedy idols, and I was just watching some Godfrey Cambridge yesterday. Great quote by Godfrey Cambridge: "If two men are laughing at each other, nobody gets stabbed." Yeah.
It's where the dozens, the sort of the thing came from. Better that we do this than engage in the other stuff. Yeah. Also, it's the kind of comedy. Two things that are going on. It's bringing culture to people who might not otherwise know about that culture. It's saying, hey, look over here. This is us. This is what we think. This is the way we live. This is how we actually talk. Yeah. I wouldn't even know what I wouldn't even know what that was.
Dick Gregory talks about that all the time.
All the time. Yeah. And the thing that, of course, Dave is doing, too. Dave is pointing out that we've become too sensitive.
Yeah.
Much of what Dave does in that comedy special is really interesting. Dave will say a thing that he knows is outrageous.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why he said it.
Of course.
Because it's outrageous.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have anything to do with anything that he actually thinks or whatnot. It has to do with our reaction. We have to stop being so sensitive.
Well, he's trying to get the stick out of our anus.
Yeah.
Is what he's trying to do.
And again, he takes himself to task too. That's the funny thing. He tells that joke, that one really great joke about being the victim hater or the what they call it.
He goes, on the street, I'm what's known as a victim blamer.
Yeah, that joke.
It's the greatest joke.
It's just absolutely hysterical.
Did you hear Chris Brown beat up Rihanna? Well, what'd you do?
Well, what'd you do? You Michael Jackson. What were those children wearing? Because these are some internal things that we do inside our own heads. Yeah. But now we've gotten to a point where we pretend like we don't.
Yeah.
We all pretend like we have nothing but pristine thoughts.
Yeah.
And Dave is saying, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You think the same crap I think. Yeah, and I'm gonna say it.
And that's it.
That's all it is.
There's his he did a show at the Palladium here in LA, which is also a Netflix special. But there's one in there where, and I can't even remember what the joke was, but he made some joke, and there were some people in the back that went like, ooh. Like they were afraid to laugh at it, and he yells out at him. He goes, "Oh, grow up! You're not even at that rate. You're not even gonna make it to the end of the show." Like you came to my show, and he says that in the new Sticks and Stones special too. Yeah. He looks right into the camera and he goes, "Just remember, you clicked on my face."
Yeah, you clicked on my face. You knew what was going to happen when you came over here.
That's great stuff. Love it. And then I want to give a real quick shout out here. We're getting right to the end of the show. So let me do a little quick tidy up here with this movie called Relaxer. This is from Oscilloscope. It's on Blu-ray. I've got absolutely no idea how to even explain what this is. Joel Potricus, I guess is how you pronounce his name. Potricus. Is he's an independent filmmaker. He's definitely in the avant-garde school and breaks rules with impunity. And this is really just a straight up kind of sort of semi-narrative avant-gardist film. It is, I guess you could call it a genre film of sorts. I don't even know how to explain it. It's called Relaxer. And it is kind of a look at, I don't know, Y2K hysteria, at basement dwelling gamer culture, at all of these things. Going back is sort of like an encapsulation of all of the eccentricities and the oddities of the 1990s tech culture in one very strange and unusual and incredibly original movie. And there's just no other way to really describe it or explain it. It's a one-of-a-kind experience. Apparently, he has a whole history of making these kinds of films at festivals. This is the first one I've ever seen of his. It might even wind up being the last. I don't gravitate towards these kinds of films. But if that's your vibe, you might want to check it out. It's from Oscilloscope on Blu-ray called Relaxer.
Sweet. You want me to knock off a couple of these horror films?
Hit some horror, and then we'll close it out.
Because these are kind of interesting, just for no particular reason. I have this film called Hoax, and a bunch of young people go out into the woods camping. They get slaughtered and killed. A bunch of investigators go out into the wood to investigate, and because it looks like it might be Bigfoot. Might be Bigfoot that killed all the kids out there in the woods. What I like about this movie is that Brian Thompson is in it. You'll know Brian's face. He was in X-Files for years, and Cobra. He's the bad guy in Cobra, a Stallone movie from 30 years ago. And Adrienne Barbeau is in it. And I just can't never get enough of Adrienne Barbeau. So Hoax is the name of the movie. It's a present day movie, 2019, just came out this year. All kinds of special features on it, including some audio commentaries by the director. Then we have a scary clown movie called Terrifier. And what can I say? It's a scary clown movie who's terrorizing these two young women. His name's Art, which I think is interesting that the clown's name is Art. Three young women, actually, on Halloween night as he sort of pursues them across the city, killing pretty much anybody who gets in between him and what he's trying to do, which is mostly terrify these women. Director's commentary, behind-the-scenes featurette, and interview with the actresses, deleted scenes, all kinds of neat stuff. Anyway, if you're into scary clown movies, take a look at the box of this, because the scary clown face makes that guy on It look like a ride at Disneyland. This scary clown face. Terrifier. Deep Murder. So this is it's not so much a horror movie as it is just as a slasher set on the set of a softcore porn film. And it's kind of like 10 Little Indians. All the little porn people start coming up dead, and they have to figure out who's doing all the killing. And again, it's one of those movies that, for whatever reason, have a couple of few people in it that just, you're like, so Christopher McDonald is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know Christopher McDonald from Thelma and Louise and all kinds of movies for years and years. Jerry O'Connell is in this movie. Josh Margolin is in this movie. I don't know. Sometimes these wacky movies just pop the hell up, and you wonder where the hell they came from. This has an alternate ending, which is funny because most people don't know how it ended in the first place. Lady World, which is actually a fairly scary little movie about these 8 teenage girls that are in what they believe is a devastating earthquake. The earthquake may or may not have actually happened. Nevertheless, they're trapped in this house, and it all devolves into a sort of Lord of the Flies sort of situation. Run out of food, run out of water, and they start killing and eating each other. Lady World. And then this neat little movie called Scrawl. It's about a boy who's writing this comic book. It's a fairly dark and scary comic book, and then he starts to realize that the stuff that he's writing in the comic book is coming true.
Ooh.
Not unlike that Guillermo del Toro movies, Scary Stories We Tell in the Dark, which came out and flopped, by the way, real fast.
I know. It's too bad.
Yet, this one is actually just about as good as that, and it has this really, really wicked sort of graphic design stuff that's going on as they're sort of creating this book. And anyway, he figures out what's going on. Daisy Ridley in this little movie. Daisy Ridley, of course, from Star Wars fame. Sometimes we forget that these young actors and actresses, that the thing that blows them up usually isn't the first thing they've done.
Right.
So this is an interesting look at Daisy Ridley. That's another one we didn't mention earlier, that the last Star Wars film. I guess I'm kind of looking forward to that, too. I guess. I'm not sure, actually.
I'll be glad to have it done.
Yeah, I put it like
I've lived my whole life with the, it's 9 episodes. I'll be glad to have it done. Hey, you made it to the end of the show. We have a giveaway, which you will have seen by now, posted on the Facebook page. And so that's what we did. We baited you all the way to the end of the show. Here's what the giveaway is. If you've seen it, we are giving away an amazing grand prize for Rocket Man, which includes a tote bag, glasses, the sunglasses, the crazy Elton John sunglasses, a jacket, a karaoke microphone, and, of course, Rocket Man itself as a 4K Ultra HD. And we're gonna give all that away to one very lucky person who emails us at gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com. Put Rocket Man, one word, just Rocket Man in the title. Put your name and address in the body of the message, and make sure it gets to us by the end of this week, September 6th, Friday, September 6th. No later than September 6th, midnight. September 6th, we'll stop taking the emails. It's a very, very short contest, but one very lucky person will get all that good swag from Paramount. So it's going to be a lot of cool. So Rocket Man to gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com, and we'll send you glasses and a microphone and a jacket, and you'll be the weirdest person on Halloween for sure, just like I will. All right, with that, we'll see you guys next week.